Funny story about Alexa before I start reading a short bio for her. When she applied for the speakership application for TedX Westminster College SLC, we were like, this is a great idea. I don't know her. So I went around asking people, who is Alexia Cooper? Who is this girl with this great idea? And the one thing that I got in common from about 5 people was, dude, she's an avid Bernie Sanders supporter. She reposts and shares 2 to 3 posts a day about Bernie Sanders. I'm like,
yeah, girl.
Power to her, you know? That's awesome. We've got her family and her brother here. Nice to see you. So Alexa grew up swimming in ice-cold rivers, climbing tall trees, and painting every day. When asked what she wants to do with her life, Alexa simply answers, change the world. Now, it was originally written here for me that she wants to save the world, but she was trying to be humble, say she wants to change the world, but I think she is going to save the world. So, round of applause for Alexia Cooper.
I grew up in the middle of nowhere. My family and I, when I was 6, moved up into the high Uintas to an off-the-grid solar cabin. Living with nature made a huge impact on my life, till this day. We spent every day outside, whether it was raining or snowing, we found a way to enjoy it. I learned about the many different plants that grew around our cabin, and we started a garden that grew as I grew, every year older and older. My brother and I were homeschooled most of our lives, up until high school. This childhood was pristine and idyllic, and thinking about it now honestly makes me a little sad because I'm not living there. I finally went to public school in high school, and I experienced culture shock. I had no idea I was a hippie, and I had no idea. Like, you're a tree hugger, you're an environmentalist. I'm like, I am? I just love nature. Maybe call me a tree kisser. I prefer that. So finally, coming to Westminster was so refreshing. All these environmentalists, people that actually cared about the environment like I did. So I started taking classes, like Intro to Environmental Studies and Political Science, and my world was shattered. I had a naive, I think, view of how the world was, because growing up in such a pristine environment, it's hard to imagine that there's other environmental degradations happening. And so having my eyes opened to anthropogenic climate change and rising sea levels and climate change in general is very depressing. I mean, we're bombarded as environmental scientists with constant information and dire scenarios and future predictions. Like, what are you guys going to do about it? I don't know. I'm depressed about it right now. I don't even know how to move forward. And so yeah, I went through all the stages of grief with the environment. I was angry at people, like, why are we doing this? Nature gives us, we're from nature. And then I just kind of stuck in depression. I was like, I don't know what I can do. I'm one person. And I also know that my lifestyle is affecting the planet too. I began to see there was a trend in all this environmental degradation towards that was of industrial agriculture. Industrial agriculture, through over-tilling of crops, using pesticides, fertilizers, and genetically modified seeds, have really made an impact on our environment, increasing acidification of the ocean, depleted topsoil, and without healthy soil, we're not going to grow healthy food. So this is a big issue we're facing as climate change approaches, and we're dealing with all of these consequences. Is how are we going to create stable food systems that aren't degrading our planet? So my professor finally brought to my attention, like, you need to look at the solutions. You can't just dwell on all these problems because that's going to make you feel hopeless and probably feel apathetic about it and not change it. So he brought to my attention permaculture. Permaculture is the combination of the words permanent and agriculture. And it's a hope for our changing world. It's tools that we can use in any environment, anywhere around the world, to create an abundant ecosystem that produces food and medicine and gives back to the environment. Permaculture has 12 principles. And from these 12 principles, we can apply them to our lives and our gardens. It's a really cool set of principles. So there's 3 ethics: care for the earth, fair share, and care for the people. And then you have the 12 others, which are creatively use and respond to change, catch and store energy, observe and interact, obtain yield, self-regulate and accept feedback, use and value renewables, produce no waste, design for pattern to detail, integrate, use small and slow solutions, use and value diversity, use edges, value the marginal, and creatively use and respond to change. So this is a permaculture example. It's a food forest. But when you first look at it, you're like, this just looks like, I don't know, a garden with some trees. But reality is it's growing food. And I'm going to show you how all those principles apply to this specific example. So here we have, go from design. You're going to design after nature. So in nature you have canopy layers. The upper canopy, lower canopy. And then here we have fruit trees, smaller fruit trees like dwarfs, and then shrubs. And then below we have our vegetables and all of our companion plants, the flowers. So we're going to have diversity in our garden because from diversity we have resilience. When we're growing monocrop fields of one type of corn, they're very easily attacked by a certain pest and wiped out. But when you have diversity within your garden, it's much easier to be resilient to change. And this is the value of the edge and the marginal. So in the transition, plants thrive the most. So as you see, like right after the tree's in, you have like a huge amount of abundance. And this is another example. Here we have capture and store energy, so we're just using whatever nature has. So that's the sun. And here we're obtaining a yield. That's the most important part. We're trying to grow food for ourselves. But we're also growing food with, like here we have strawberries and lettuce and chives, and then you have some sort of mint. All of these companion plants benefit each other. Every single plant in a permaculture garden has multiple aspects in which it can help the garden. And then this is slow and simple solutions. By just planting perennials within your annuals, you're stabilizing your soil. And then we're integrating rather than separating. A lot of the time we see that, oh, I'm going to have an orchard over here, I'm going to have my herb garden here, and then my vegetable garden's here. But really, you should combine them because that's where all the magic happens, the way nature's supposed to be, with those great, intricate relationships. And permaculture, my favorite thing about it was bringing my awareness to soil. It's not dirt, as most people think of it. There's living microbes and bacteria and fungi. All of these are so important. But when we kill our soil, we're breaking up the beneficial mycorrhizal fungi beneath the surface. And this is the most amazing thing, and we shouldn't be doing this. So here you have the pine sapling, and it's kind of the base of its roots are only a couple of inches down. But all of those filaments that are breaking off of it and expanding, that's the hyphae of the mushroom. And so they have a symbiotic relationship where the plant gives the mushroom sugar, and in return, the mushroom gives it vital nutrients like phosphorus. And phosphorus is a limiting nutrient. So plants with this relationship, with this type of fungi, produce more, have higher rates of photosynthesis, and just greater abundance. But when we're tilling the soil, we're breaking up all of these filaments, and they have to start again and grow again. So in permaculture, we have a no-till method, where we layer the soil on top of like whatever, you can grow on concrete. Layer multiple levels of soil, and instead of in the year tilling it underneath, you just chop the stalk of the plant and place it on the top, because we're creating a composting top layer to fix nutrients like phosphorus or like carbon. And then we have worms. Okay, I used to be absolutely freaked out by worms. And then I'm like, well, I'm a gardener, so I'm going to have to get over that. So I put some gloves on, and I dealt with them, because they're amazing. And without their help, tilling the soil and fertilizing, there probably wouldn't be life on Earth. So we need to realize this intricate relationships in the systems that we're growing food. For many years, we've had a myopic view of our food system, where we've only thought of, oh, this is the product, and we're not thinking of the process. But we're in a complex world, so everything that we're doing is affecting something else. So at the end of the semester, after being super depressed and then finding, oh wow, there's something I can do, permaculture, kind of set me free of the apathy that had set upon me. And I decided to create a project proposal for my final in political science. It was a 15-page proposal for an implementation of a permaculture herb style here on campus. I got funding for it, and last fall we finally started. 35 students came out to the organic garden and learned about the importance of soil health. So this is what we did. We layered all of these different compounds and materials, like green materials like compost, and green materials like leftover vegetation from the garden. And we do this so that after a while it breaks down and mixes from all the worms, and eventually it creates a humus. Humus is the ideal soil that we're trying to achieve. It can hold 90% of its weight in water, so this is a great implementation for anywhere that needs to save water. These are the plants that we planted. All of them are planted with their companion plants. So companion plants are just giving each other beneficial nutrients or support or pest resistance. And all of these are medicinal. So I'm hoping that at the end of this fall, we'll create a pamphlet of all these common college ailments, and a student can go down there and flip through the pages like, I have a cough, and you look through it and you're like, okay, so I'm going to get this root and this leaf, and I'm going to brew it. I feel better. And so this is us creating the garden. We created so we're doing it in spiral, because in nature you see spirals everywhere. It's the Fibonacci sequence, the path of least resistance. And plants grow great on that marginal. So we have tons of area of change and not a lot of pathways, and we can reach everything. So instead of a box, you have to like, I don't know, it has to be a certain size, and you can't reach the middle of it. Here you can reach the whole thing. And it's a perfect system. So us adding cocoa mulch and compost. And this is last fall, before and after. And then we let it sit for 6 months as the worms get to find their new home, microbial life gets to explore all the new nutrients, and it's just priming it for our plants. And then this spring, we started seeds in the greenhouse. And honestly, it's like one of the most amazing things is to plant something and see it grow. And just imagine, like, oh, I'm going to be eating a tomato off this plant later this season, and I've seen it sprout its first coat of little leaves, and it's so exciting. And it's cool to see all the different shapes of seeds. And humans' relationship with seeds has been throughout our entire history. That's one of the problems I have with genetically modified seeds, that as we've evolved, we've been able to gather seeds or buy a sack of corn and perhaps have that same seed through many generations, because you can collect the seed in the fall. But with Terminator seeds, you can't. You have to buy new seeds every year. So it's really disrupted our relationship with our food and just knowing what type of seed we're growing. This was last week, so I have tons of varieties of plants. We're going to be planting them out in the spiral in a couple weeks, once the weather's nice. Then last week I direct seeded all of the herbs that could be when it's cool out. And we installed a drip irrigation system, because this is the most sustainable way to water your garden. It just slowly drips in and saturates. And this type of soil stays wet for almost a week. It's pretty amazing. I hardly have to water it. And this fall we'll be collecting all the herbs and having 5 to 6 naturopathic doctors come and teach us about tinctures, extracts, and essential oils. And so we'll be creating those and just showing that we can grow health in our backyards. All of the world's problems can be solved in a garden. And I love this. And it's true. We need to rediscover our relationship with our food. And right now we don't really have that relationship because we're not growing it. And it's the purest connection we can have with nature when we grow something. And I believe that we can all do this really easily. It's not hard. We are trying to fix a super complex problem of climate change, but it's pretty simple to do it in your backyard. Everyone can do it. And it's the best way for you to feel as though you're doing something, being proactive about their problem by growing your own food. Thank you.